Hey everybody, today I'm going to talk about the Sony PlayStation 4 and what I think of it now. I own an Xbox One and I've always thought the PS4 is kind of meh, like there's no reason to buy one, but my friend has a PS4 and I see people online talking about how the PS4 is so much better than the Xbox One. So I'm like, sure, bring it over, I can try playing some games. So he brings it over, and the only game he has for it is NAC. I'm like, okay, maybe he has them digitally. So we hook the PS4 up, and we get no video signal. It's just flashing no signal. And as it turns out, the PS4 by default outputs an HDCP encrypted stream. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's not updated, because if you don't know, Sony made a patch that basically lets the PS4 output non-HDCP encrypted video and lets you use an Elgato or Halpage HD PVR or something like that to record. So I'm like, whatever. Let's hook up the PS4. Let me try hooking it up with a different video adapter, and it doesn't work with the video adapter. So then, like, I've got these two HDMI to VGA dongles, which let me hook up an HDMI video source to your regular old monitor, and it doesn't work. So I look over there and I'm like, well, I still have the adapter I used to use as my Xbox One to play it in standard definition, and to my knowledge, HDCP worked there. So I hook the adapter up, and it's not getting any power. It's just dead. So I get another USB cable. I plug there's a USB power plug, which is optional but used in case your device does not provide HDCP power. So I run that into one of the front two USB ports on the PlayStation 4, and I turn it on, and I finally get video. After it rescales it, because it was getting 720p video at first, but it picked up and but since the PS4 is set for 1080p and I used to use it in 720p, it picked up, readjusted everything, and kaboom, I was able to actually get the device connected to my my friend's PS4, and then I was able to go into the settings and look for what's causing HDCP to be on. So I'm like, maybe the system hasn't been updated. And surely enough, it was updated to the newest PS4 firmware. And I'm like, that's weird. I mean, why isn't HDCP working? So I look in the display options, and I finally find out that apparently with the PlayStation 4, you have to go into settings for display mode to change the HDCP setting. Here's the problem. HDCP was on. So how do you now? Maybe it's off by default. I don't know. I don't own a PS4. I haven't unboxed a new one. But if it is, the only way to turn it off is to go into settings, and you have no idea how to even change it, or like where the HDCP setting is, unless you're on a TV with HDCP. So you have to move this all the way to another TV or device just to change a setting so you can use it on the other. Now, that is a terrible design. That really is. I mean, you can't just have it off by default or automatic like the Xbox One and PS4 can, Xbox One can, and 360 can. PS4 can't do that. But here's the thing. With the Xbox One and the 360, they only turn on DHCP when it's needed, such as when you're watching Netflix, watching encrypted content, etc. Gaming, on the other hand, is not encrypted on either system, but on this, you have to turn it all the way off. And keep in mind, if you want to do something like a video app, you have to go into settings, turn it back on, and quit all your apps just so you can watch some video or movie or whatever. And then turn it off again, and hopefully you're using a TV that supports HDCP when you do that too, because if it doesn't, well, you're out of luck. But anyways, enough with that. Let's get on to the next issues I saw. So I moved the PS4 over, hook it up to the capture card, because now I know that the system's not providing enough power. My capture card will provide enough power to power my dongle. So then I move it all the way over to the PlayStation 4. And and then what happens is I get my controller out, and I'm like, his controller out, and I'm like, okay, This controller feels kind of meh. I mean, it feels like a third-party controller compared to the Xbox One controller, and especially with all those gimmicks. But the main thing is, he told me, and I confirmed this by Googling, the PS4 only has like 6 to 7 hours of battery life. The battery life on that thing is garbage. And at least the Wii U controller has an excuse. It's got that stupid screen on it. The PS4, on the other hand, it has a stupid light on the back that no games use, and it kills the battery. It just does. While the Xbox One, on the other hand, goes hours and hours, and it still uses those criticized AA batteries. You know those AA batteries people were complaining about, even like my rechargeable ones? It uses these, and it lasts longer than the PS4 does with its rechargeable batteries. It just does. Which is pretty sad and pathetic for a system that's supposed to be so much better than the Xbox One. The user interface on the PlayStation 4 is pretty garbage too. I mean, it's a clusterfuck. Whoever designed it needs to be fired, because Sony went from the one XMB design that just worked to that stupid PS4 design that's straight up garbage. I mean, I'm serious. It's garbage. It sucks. It's a pain to use. The only good part is it's faster than the XMB was, because the PS4 is a faster system. Multitasking's garbage on the PS4 too. Because let's just say, well, I was playing NAC, and I wanted to try watching a YouTube video. And before it whined about how I have to have HDCP on, which keep in mind the Xbox One has no such requirement. Before it whined about that, I was able, it asked me if I wanted to suspend, NAC, the game I was playing. It's a pretty terrible game. I'll make a review on it later, but it asked me if I wanted to suspend that game. So instead of just, well, let's just say, keeping the game open and running and matchmaking, it asks us to suspend the game just to do anything. Wow. I mean, this is the PS3, this is not the Vita, this is not a handheld, I mean, this is the PS4. This is the PS4, I said PS3 there a second ago, but yeah, it's the PS4. This is not the Vita, this is a home console, and it has to pause the game like a cell phone does, while the Xbox One can keep it running in the background. I mean, so much for, yeah, the PS4 is just pretty meh. So I played some NAC, the controls were terrible in that game, and I'll review it later, but yeah, I played some of the PS4, and I mentioned it still uses PlayStation Network, the same one you remember on the PS3, but now you have to pay for it. So I played, and the controls alright-ish, so I unplugged the system, and the system is like hot. It's like real hot. It's like much hotter than the Xbox One is. Partially because it's got that power supply built in, but also because it's got a cramped design. That's a bad design right there. I mean, I guarantee in the future, there are already more PS4 failures seemingly with the blue light of death and all that stuff. PS4 just gets hot when you're using it. I mean, holy crap, you thought they would have learned with the PS3 getting toaster hot and burning itself to death, but no. PS4 gets real hot. It's a joke. And I mentioned that when you're installing games, in a day when games normally have to be patched, the Xbox One offers the better user experiences. Not only does it have the snapping feature, where you can snap another app while the game installs, but it also, or play another game while the game installs. I mean, you could probably do that on the PS4, but yeah. But with updates on the PS4, it downloads the update while you play. So while it installs faster, you're stuck with the day one version of whatever game. Which means that if you bought something like The Evil Within, which according to Digital Foundry had some issues with its day one patch, I mean, with the version before the day one patch, which you got on the PS4 while it was updating, you'd be stuck with frame rate issues and possibly more glitches. While on the Xbox One, on the other hand, sure, the installing takes a while, but that's because it's downloading the game. Well, updates for the game, I mean. While the PS4, it's a less polished user experience because, well, get to play the game right away and have to suffer bugs and stuff. It's pretty dumb. And honestly, I wouldn't see a reason anybody would buy a PS4 over the Xbox One, especially because Sony's exclusive library is garbage. The studio that made Wipeout's gone. Zipper Interactive, the studio who made MAG, SOCOM, and Unit 13 on the Vita, is gone. They're gone too. Sony's laid off a ton of other employees, and many of their big franchises are nowhere to be seen on the PS4. It's just a terrible system. I mean, Microsoft, sure, the Halo Master Chief Collection was a disastrous launch, but at least they had Halo on the system. Sure, it was a disastrous launch, but they still have their Halo IP. Sony can't even say that. And the third parties, oh yeah, it's just an Xbox now, because the Japanese third parties, everything's either delayed till 2015, or, get this, with the PlayStation 4, you've got many of the games being cross-gen, like Persona 5. Oh, there are some exclusives though, like Disgaea, which looks the same as a PS3 game, and Neptunia, which pushed the limit of the PS3 with its Sonic Boom-like frame rate and terrible graphics and mediocre gameplay. So yeah, PS4, from what I played of it, was a frustrating experience as a console. It just was, and I don't get how people say this is better than the Xbox One. The Xbox One's more user-friendly, more polished, and of course there are a few other things I forgot to mention that the PS4 can't do, mainly multimedia, such as play CDs, or it also has a media player that's like not as good as the Xbox One's, because the Xbox One's can play like tons of movies and stuff, while the PS4, I mean, it had that music player, but I didn't try it on his system, but the PS4 now has a USB music player, but it only works with USB stuff. It does not work with DLNAs, so if you have like a server like I do loaded with multimedia files, it can't play crap on it. And of course, movies too. The Xbox One can do. The PS4 can only do disc movies, while the Xbox One lets you stream and play it off a big hard drive, which is something that you can do in 2014. And did I mention that, I mean, especially as fewer and fewer people buy discs and more people stream movies, or rip their own movies, or do whatever, the Xbox One supports it, PS4 doesn't. And did I mention that with the PlayStation 4, you've also got, like I said, no audio CD support. So if you still buy music on CDs, which a lot of people do because you've got those box sets and physical media and stuff, you can't do that with your PS4. You can with the Xbox One. So on all, the Xbox One is a better system for those who are into, like, let's just say, the Xbox One's a better system for those who are into, like, doing everything with their system. The PS4 is only good if you want a system with a Sony logo on it, because it sucks in every way, shape, and form. It's the Vita all over again. That's just what it is. The Vita again. That's all I have to say. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.